Ronald Wilson Reagan was born in Tampico, Illinois on February 6, 1911. He lived with his one brother and his parents, John and Nell Reagan. He went to school at Eureka College, a small Christian school in Illinois. He graduated with a C average, but was successful as both an actor and a football player. After college, he became a second lieutenant in the Army Officer Reserve Corps of the Cavalry. He was also offered a 7-year studio contract and was in his first film. Reagan went on to star in more than 50 films throughout his life. In 1940, he married Jane Wyman, who then divorced him in 1948. During World War II, Reagan was drafted into the Army and assigned to the Motion Picture Army unit in Culver City to make training and propaganda films. After this, in 1952, Reagan married Nancy Davis, and they soon had a daughter and son together. In 1966, Reagan became the governor of California, and in January of 1968, he was inaugurated into the U.S. presidency as the 40th president of the United States. He served 2 successful terms as a Republican president and passed on the presidency to his vice president, George W. Bush. Reagan died on June 5, 2004.
Parent-teacher conferences. I'm not ready for this. Come in. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Hi,
Reagan.
nice to meet with you again.
You too. Your son is doing pretty well. He's been a good president this time.
Oh, I'm so glad and relieved to hear that. Can we talk a little bit more about his report card?
Yes, of course. It's right here. Did you receive it in the mail?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll start with Chief Legislator. So Ronald did well in this section, earning an A-. He cooperated well with the Democratic House, despite his Republican views. He was able to get a lot of good work done.
Yes, he told me a lot about his Economic Recovery Tax Act.
That was a good one. He promoted a strong economic agenda through many acts like these.
So, why did he only get an A-?
Well, my only complaint was that he was a little impulsive with his veto power. He vetoed 78 bills.
Wow.
His grade for chief executive is a little low.
Do you mind explaining that?
Oh yes, there were a few problems. His cabinet was involved in some bad situations and scandals. It seems like he's hanging around the wrong crowd. He also tended to get upset when the Senate did not approve his judicial appointments, so I took off points for that. He got some points back for his new federalism, though, which he began to return power to the states.
That's good to know.
Yes, the next section is Commander-in-Chief. Ronald performed very well under the challenging circumstances that he faced.
Oh, good. How do you think he dealt with the communist threats?
Very well, actually. He not only stopped the expansion of communism, but worked to eliminate it where it already existed. He also competed with the Soviet Union in the arms race, and did very well for the United States. Although, he left quite the deficit for future presidents with all of his defense spending, and that's why he got an A-. The next section is Guardian of the Economy, which includes things such as unemployment, prices, taxes, and how well your son helped America run smoothly in general. He has some things to work on, but in general he performed all right. His grade for this section is a B.
Oh boy, I'd like to know how he did on such things as inflation, unemployment, debts, and taxes. I hear that these issues are quite the controversy.
Yeah, wow, I hate to tell you this, but he tripled the national debt.
Oh no. Ugh, who raised this boy?
I think it was you, because it wasn't me.
Bish what?
Ugh, it's fine, Mrs. Reagan. He did some good things as well. Although the unemployment rate rose in 1982, it went back down in 1988, which was his second term. Also, he reduced tax payments by 30% for the rich.
Well, that's great for Republican families like mine. Hopefully Bush can make a comeback on the negative things, though.
Yes, precisely. We're all rooting for him. But anyways, let's talk about your son's role as the chief of party. Ron has always been excellent at this, being the leader of the Republican Party and making sure Republicans are appointed. He got himself re-elected for a second term and is even carrying on Republican influence because his Vice President George W. Bush has been elected as president now, as you know. Even with a Democratic Congress, Reagan managed to get his important policies implemented and keep the GOP centered in politics. That is why he received an A+ in this section, which is also his highest section.
Wow, we all know that that's the most difficult task in a divided government. But that is awesome. How did he keep Republicans in office?
Well, he's known for being the president to try the hardest to nationalize off-year Senate races and traveled all around the country to spread influence of the Republican Party. He was able to be a great chief of party because of his charm and his ability to compromise with Congress. The next section here on his report card is head of state or chief of state. And this is the public persona that officially represents the national unity and legitimacy of a sovereign state. As a retired Hollywood star, Reagan is a highly charismatic and attractive character. He is known to have given some of the best speeches in the age of new media. Reagan showed a friendly and collected face, boosting the confidence of the American people. I believe that he successfully accomplished his initial goal of going down in history as the president who made Americans believe in themselves again. I'm very proud of him, and for this reason, he received an A.
Oh, wonderful. That's always been my son. He's the most charming character, isn't he?
He is.
I think even the most die-hard liberal can grant Reagan some credit for his charismatic ability as head of state in handling matters of diplomacy and rallying the country together in times of mourning and crisis.
I agree. The last section that's important for a president is his charisma. Reagan's positive and spunky appearance helped to make his approval ratings high.
This makes me so happy. You know, my son's personality has always brought me much joy.
Charisma really helps to capture trust and admirations from policies. Putting the nation in front of oneself is very important as a president. This is one of the things that made Ronald stand out as a leader.
That's great. You know, all my friends tell me that his most memorable act of integrity was when he addressed the nation from the Oval Office in March 1987 and took ultimate responsibility for the Iran arms and Contra and controversy, even though he had not personally authorized the unpopular opinion.
Exactly, Mrs. Reagan. The ability to strengthen the faith and trust of the public as the president is the most important quality. This is why he got an A+.
I absolutely agree. You know, today you don't see too much of that.
True, but that's why we...
Oh, is this the new drug on the streets?
Hell yeah!
Oh! It's open!
At the end of both of his terms as president, Ronald Reagan earned an overall grade of a B+. During his administration, he performed the best at his duties of chief of party, head of state, and charismatic character. He represented the Republican Party very well by not only successfully campaigning for himself to get reelected to a second term, but also by campaigning for Republican senatorial candidates during the midterm elections of 1986. His charisma and high spirits also boosted the confidence of the country as a whole during times of war and dispute with foreign nations. Reagan also performed his duties as chief legislator, commander-in-chief, and chief diplomat very well. One of the highlights of his foreign policy was the rollback strategy, in which he worked to eliminate pre-existing communism and promote democracy throughout foreign nations. This came to be known as the Reagan Doctrine. He aided in the passage of many pieces of important legislation despite a Democratic Congress, and stuck to a legislative agenda designed to improve the lives and economic statuses of American citizens. Reagan's weaker categories were chief executive and guardian of the economy. Although he was a good leader, several of his cabinet members were involved in scandals, and although he did bring the U.S. out of recession, his increased spending left the U.S. with an enormous amount of debt. Overall, Ronald Reagan helped the U.S. through a time of foreign conflict and economic turmoil, but left lasting damages that future presidents had to deal with and repair.